Good morning, YouTube. I hope everyone is well. Obviously, I didn't check in last week, and that was due to some personal circumstances. And I think I mentioned maybe in like the first or second video that I would put these out every single week without failure, unless something relatively big came up. And something relatively big did come up last week. So thanks for bearing with me. And actually, from my perspective, on a personal note, it was kind of nice to have a week off. Not for the reasons I had to have one, but I realised how much I miss this. I love checking in with you guys. I love being able to provide value and things like that. So I'm going to kick off today's YouTube video by asking you guys a question. I'm thinking of doing a bit of a Q&A, mostly on the fat loss phase I had. And we can go through some questions on that, and we can go through some questions on the exit, and even questions on a more personal basis about kind of what I'm planning to do next and things like that. So if you would like to ask me some questions, it doesn't matter how many questions you have to ask, pop them in the comments and I will answer all of those for you. In today's video, I have a couple of different snippets to go through, because as I record these, for anyone who knows me very well, you will know that once I get on a tangent, I am full steam ahead, baby. Which can be great if you're interested in listening to an hour of me ramble on about different subjects, but not so great if you're not keen on listening to me ramble around for an hour on different topics. So I have probably got, I would say, 6 different videos loaded, locked, ready to go that I just never published, because they're snippets of recordings that I've done of different stages where I've been like, oh, I'll do that. So for example, I've got one on why the scale weight doesn't change when you go into a deficit, that it's probably about half an hour long, of all the different reasons of why. I've got one on exit strategy, which I recorded a couple of weeks ago, which I'm going to put into this video today, as it's obviously very well timed, as I am in my exit strategy. So I will start to pop those out, because I believe they've got some great value to them, and hopefully, you know, even if they didn't fit into the videos at the time, they'll be valuable to you guys. So as always, a warm welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Alexander Conobit. I am an online fitness coach. I've been doing this for 8 to 10 years now. It's been a long time, and I help women transform their physiques, transform their mindsets, and basically push beyond what they have been training like, what they have been doing, and maybe even their belief systems in terms of their own physical progress. And it is the most rewarding job in the world. I love what I do, and that's why I'm here. So today we are going to be looking at how to perform an exit strategy, the importance of said exit strategy. So without further ado, I will stop rambling there. It's lovely to see you guys. I hope you're all well. Drop us a comment, say hello, and obviously like and subscribe, because I love you and I would really appreciate that. So thank you very much. Right, let's head to the gym. I'll see you there. Any questions, as I said, pop them down below, and let's get started. Welcome back, everybody. What's up, folks? So everything went a bit Pete Tong this morning. So for those of you who don't understand Cockney rhyming slang, essentially tits up. Everything went a bit poo. Because when I left to go to the gym, they've put some roadworks on the road that I need to get to the gym. And it just put everything in lockdown, because it's only one way now. Pardon me. So anyway, I got stuck in traffic, basically. It's a huge gridlock for the better part of 40 minutes, shall we say, and I turned around and came home. So that really put me behind then with the day, because obviously I don't plan to have a 40-minute bloody car park in the middle of a road. So, I mean, we all got these frustrations, right? We can't help it, there's nothing we can do about it. But at that point I decided I'm not going to wait here any longer. I'm just going to go home and get on with some work, because I came across a junction which I could turn around, and I thought, I'm not going to get this opportunity again. So I took the leap of faith, and yeah, and I basically just turned around and went home. So I've spent the morning so far. It's what time is it now? 25 to 1. I've got a client call at 2, so I've got enough time to get myself a gym session in. It's my leg day, which normally takes a lot longer, and I was going to record some for you, but I don't think I'm going to have time today, based on the massive hoo-ha of the traffic issue this morning. So I thought I would chat to you now instead. What I was going to say was, with my leg session today, because it's only week 2, I still have relatively light volume. I've got more carbohydrate in, so I don't need as much volume as I would do when I was dieting. It's kind of a sickening thing, really, that, because when you think about it, when you're dieting, the last thing you want to be doing is doing more training. But because of the way hypertrophy mechanisms work, we've got less carbohydrate, and obviously carbohydrate is a mechanism of hypertrophy, and we also have volume, which is a mechanism of hypertrophy. But obviously, as you have lower levels of carbohydrate, you need more levels of volume, which is kind of frustrating because it's the last thing you really want to be doing. So anyway, as I was saying, before my camera fell over, the kind of frustrating thing there is you have to do more volume even though you have less energy to actually do that volume. But obviously when you've got more carbohydrate, you don't need too much volume because the carbohydrate works as a mechanism for hypertrophy anyway, to get better pumps, etc, etc. So I'm still on relatively low sets. I think my quads are at 10 sets for this week. My glutes are at 12 sets, my hamstrings are at 6. I really don't need much hamstring volume, I get absolutely shredded, but also because I've got hypers in now, I don't need as much like hamstring base volume because I get some from that as well. And now I'm stuck at the train, this is perfect. That was obvious sarcasm if you understood that, but if not, it was sarcasm. So anyway, these things happen, we can't help it, we move on. Now, in terms of my day today, very exciting day today, lots going on, because we should be exchanging on our house, which is super exciting. So just before I actually came out here, I was on the phone to our solicitor who's going to put that through. That's very exciting. And as I mentioned on my clip this morning, which I'll obviously put in this, I said about there being some extra clips that I've not put in. So I will put in the clip that I took out from last week, which was me talking about choosing times to diet, and maybe I chose a bit of a rogue time because, I don't know if you remember, but I obviously spent a lot of time away at the weekends, and people must think, oh, this guy's got a wicked weekend. I'm just going across the train line now. The truth is, we just spent all our weekends looking for houses, and obviously if you know anything in the market at the moment, it's just crazy, really crazy in terms of the UK housing market. So I'm pretty sure you'll remember me saying the reason I had to turn around this morning was because the road was closed. And Dick for Brains here, happily chatting away to you guys, forgot that and drove across the same way he wasn't supposed to because the road is still closed. So now I have to turn all the way back around and go the other way. Oh, it's laughable really. That'll add a nice 10-15 minutes to my journey. So it looks like I might not get all my leg session in now. But hey ho, I've got some nice sweets, so I'm quite happy. Equally, there's sort of all I can do about it. I can't undo the time. Obviously it's frustrating because I did know that, I had just told you about it. But hey, what can you do? So anyway, leg session to do today, hopefully exchanging on our house. Going to meet my new niece this evening, loads of exciting shit going on. So I'm going to concentrate now because clearly I keep going the wrong way. But anyway, I'll speak to you guys in a bit.
Abrázame toda la noche, no nos queda mucho tiempo más. No quiero perder lo que queda. Seguimos siempre la pasión y confiamos solo en el amor.
So first and foremost, what is an exit strategy? Well, an exit strategy is essentially a designated period of time that we are going to set aside and acknowledge that our process is still going to be difficult. So we want to make sure that the results that we've put in all our hard work to create go to fruition, and the results that we've created are therefore maintained. This is most critical for diet phases because when you go through a long diet phase, at the end you're very hungry, you're obviously very tired and fatigued and things like that. I can vouch for that. And so what happens is people go back to maintenance, or they don't, and they just struggle through for a while. The energy gets low, they don't have a lot of energy for training, and the nutrition is a bit all over the place, and they end up gaining the weight back. There's some really scary statistics actually on dieting, and if you look, the majority of people don't lose any weight because they lose some and then gain it back. A large percentage of people lose the weight and then gain more back, which obviously is something we don't want to do. So the exit strategy for me is something I implement with all my clients, and the way I do that is by basically highlighting the 2 weeks or 3 weeks, depending on the diet phase, after their diet phase ends, and I will highlight that and say exit strategy. That's me saying to them, your diet's not over. We are not finished yet. We finish when this finishes, because getting to the end of a diet is one thing, but then removing the hunger and the food focus and the general fatigue that we carry from that diet is a very different kettle of fish. And we want to make sure that when we finish this and we're out back into maintenance or into gaining whatever it is you're doing, we are able to do that without that hunger and that food focus so that we gain that weight back, because obviously that's not what we want to do. So the whole purpose of the phase is to make sure that we maintain results that we've worked hard for. So how do we do that? Well, I'll use an example which is mine. There were certain nutritional strategies and dieting hacks, you could call them, I've been using to ensure that my diet phase went well and I could handle hunger well. Easy examples, I use small plates. So when I fill my evening bowl or my cereal bowl, anything like that, when I put food in it, it looks like loads. You don't want to have a massive plate with not a lot of food on it. Imagine putting a salad with chicken and pasta into a massive pasta bowl like this big. Wouldn't look like much, so psychologically you're looking at that thinking that's not going to last long. But if you put it into a tiny cereal bowl, all of a sudden it's like brimming at the edges and it looks like loads of food. Brilliant. So psychologically that's very beneficial. The other thing I do is I tend to eat everything with a teaspoon. Eating with a teaspoon means that you can get less on the spoon, which means you've got to take more mouthfuls. And if you time that with, or you combine that rather, with a slower eating approach, so you have less food on the spoon, which means less food's going in the mouth, you chew that food better, you take more time between spoonfuls, you feel far more satiated. Your body has enough time to actually register the food that's going in, rather than just kind of wolfing it back and then being like, I'm still hungry. But then 20 minutes later, you're not hungry anymore. You would have been satiated, but you ate so quickly, your body didn't have time to register that food. So a teaspoon is another really good idea. I have made some food swaps. Food swaps like I've not been eating pasta. Instead, I've been eating boiled potato. Nothing against pasta at all. I eat pasta when I'm at maintenance and when I'm gaining, even at the start of my diet phases. But when push comes to shove, that is a trade I will make. 2 reasons why. White potato, boiled white potato is incredibly satiating. And if you're not familiar with it, I suggest checking out the Satiety Index, which was a study run by 2 and maybe 3 Australian researchers, test themselves again, in 1995, where they looked at the food type. So they might look at croissants, apples, all those things, and they basically used white bread as the benchmark, and they basically registered other foods against those foods for satiety and how satiated we were having eaten them. So I look at that and I think, right, what swaps can I make? Well, white potatoes coming in, pasta's going out. Those kinds of simple things. I would often have grated carrot with evening meals, because actually if you grate like 100 grams of carrot, it makes like quite a big bunch of food, and it's quite chewy, it's quite texturous, so actually it's quite a nice food to have. It's very low calorie as well. It's quite sweet, which is also quite nice. What I've been doing is I've been maintaining that. I've had a little bit of pasta. I actually had spaghetti bolognese last night. Lush. I'm holding off on the garlic bread for now though, not long. So what I've been doing is basically having the usual meals that I was having when I was dieting, but bigger portions. And I like to call this the 80-20 rule, and there's loads of people who use this in different circumstances, but this is how I use it. If we had an extra 1,000 calories, which I basically have to go back to maintenance, what you end up with is 1,000 calories of opportunity to eat loads of tasty foods if you want to, but that's not going to help you feel more satiated and essentially remove food focus. However, if you take that 1,000 calories and 80% of those goes towards the meals you're already having but making them bigger, so instead of having 100 grams of boiled potato, I'd have 200 grams. Instead of having 30 grams of oats, I'd have 45 grams of oats, those kinds of things, you end up feeling really full because that food isn't interesting, it's not